One fact that's completely without argument is that right up there with the X-Men and SEAL Team 6, I think we can all agree circus performers are a group you turn to when things go to hell in a handbasket. Nothing makes people feel safer than a giant red nose and floppy clown feet when the crap hits the fan. And in the 1800s, after an event called the Maddening causes a group of people to go insane, the entire city of London turns to circus performers. The Circus Electrique is coming out soon, and I got hands-on for a couple hours with a demo version of the preview. Zen Studios have stepped out of their comfort zone with a game that's a story-driven RPG turn-based tactics game that basically stars Doink the Clown as one of the main protagonists. As a side turn-based battler, you take groups of 4 circus performers to clean up the mean streets using synergies, skills, and of course, circus moves to stop an evil Elon Musk, something wicked this way comes kind of circus master and his possible nefarious plot to ruin London. It's based in the 1800s, but not like our own, where an invention known as the spark has changed mankind forever, giving you that steampunk feel. The game's a bit Darkest Dungeon, a bit Monster Train, and a whole lot of circus sim magic. When you go out into the map of London, it's spread into 6 districts. You take a team of these 4 performers, all spread across 15 classes. Now, position is key in the game, with characters liking spots for certain attacks, disliking others, having attacks that only hit people in some locations, and also having the ability to taunt, push, and pull enemies around in positions to do more damage. And the enemies can do just exactly the same. Where Circus nails it, though, is the feel. Every single attack is absolutely steeped in circus lore. And it's not just the graphics, it's the animations, it's the type of attacks. Wind-up circus bears performing scratching their eyes out attacks on robotic bobbies one moment, and of course, mystic healing men to the clowns I talked about before. Bouncing an electric ball into the face of a bad guy after hitting it with a mallet that looks like it's probably better reserved for Death Adder in the Golden Axe games is hard not to like instantly. Also, the clowns can trumpet away their bad feelings to heal everyone, while the strong men can taunt enemies by standing up and flexing, bending their strongman bars, pointing out enemies to weaken them, and all manners of different attacks. Morale is also a huge thing in the game, almost as much as hit points. While attacks do damage as expected and have a huge range of elements that are impacted by the time of day as well as weather, for instance, fire doing worse during the rain but electricity doing more, morale can be impacted by a ton of moves. As it goes up and down, it adds points to damages or removes them, and if it gets low enough, enemies and friends may just up and run away from the battle, leaving you with less people to fight. When not in combat, the game also has you doing a huge number of activities within the circus, like putting on performances, where each one has a different requirement for amazement, excitement, and otherwise. Putting particular characters in the open, middle, and closing acts are also impacted by what that character likes to do. For instance, a clown may not like the limelight. He wants to be in the middle act and raises your star level there and expected funfare accordingly. Also, many characters like other parts or particular classes, and this randomizes, so you may have a strongman that doesn't like coming right after the fire spewing, belly dancing fire breathers, and another one who has no issues with that. It's just got an incredible amount of detail and connectiveness between everything you do. As you perform these, you can also raise the level of the circus, adding more events, locations like crafting shops and healing tents, as well as others, including a train which consistently pipes in hot new classes and differently leveled characters to hire as your circus goes up in that level. But morale can also impact at those moments. You might have a character that gets bored every single night, and if you don't consistently put them in events, which might actually be more important than putting them out in the field to attack, they can end up just leaving the circus. And you certainly don't want to lose any of those high-level characters. Now, when it comes to the characters, they have a huge number of stats. They have health, damage, precision, dodge, critical, defense, initiative, and protection. They also have their own circus act bonuses that each one of them has. For example, one strongman may be able to perform feats of electricity and otherwise, and somebody may have something completely different. The skills themselves are also wildly divergent, but they're nailed down to each character. As you get a class and recruit them, they have skills that are random, but they're from a bank for each class. So while 2 strongmen may have a couple overlapping skills, they may also have a couple different ones that turn out to be more or less useful in particular combats. And of course, as you get experience, you can raise up those skills to do more damage. Rarely in a preview have I just chomped at the bit to continue to play more of something. The demo press version lets you play and walk through one particular district of London, and each location on the map, each step you go, offers battles, minigames, story elements, and surprises, with some locations in secret ways opening up depending on your success and the story turns. And then you go back each night and you set up a new event and take care of your circus itself. always pushing that story forward. Now, speaking of story, it's actually interesting. Not only is the character not just the generic bad guy, but his connection to the current circus, as well as the excellent voice acting, really works to push this forward. It's a full, every single moment of the game voice acting as well, which really does help the title. And that helps so far to build out the cornerstones of the game with the story as well as the combat as well as the circus itself, accurately depicting what Zen said, that they really wanted to get out of the comfort zone and do something different. Visually, the game is also a looker, but it is a bit on the busy side. Everything has a highlight, which hints because it has a lot to track. It's gorgeous. It has fully animated moves for every single character and everything they do on the screen. Tells a visual story. For example, cannonball characters can shoot themselves at enemies because obviously that completely makes sense. London papers at the end of each day tell stories of your antics and push that game forward. Every environment has some level of detail that also fits in the time frame and the weird divergent world that these characters live in compared to ours. It did have a couple performance problems, but nothing that seemed at all worrisome. It'll be interesting to see as well if they can keep that level of discovery as high as the hours continue to play out, because if it does, I think we're in for a huge surprise. This is something I was not expecting and a worldview that is just highly interesting. The game's out in the following weeks and you can subscribe to the channel for the review. A game like this really has to nail it for me. I like these type of titles somewhat, but only the best of the best usually grab me. And with many titles, it's the world and the atmosphere and how they play into the combat and actions that make me want to continue to leap in. For example, Deadly Tower of Monsters before this. Circus Electrique's unique world is what's captured me, and that filtering through in every single thing that you do in the three cornerstones seem to be able to deliver something that's going to be really special. I just hope it actually is. So that's it for me. If you like the video, give it a thumbs up. I would love for you to share it wherever you can. Help out with the YouTube notifications. Chat in the comments. The first 1,000 people who subscribe will, well, you'll just be another 1,000 people who've subscribed, and I really appreciate it. You can comment if you want. I'm excited for this. I want to know what you guys think of this. What are your favorite games in this genre? Especially now when almost every genre of game out there is in some way available for gamers. It's crazy to see that the idea that if you're really into circus performers, well, here's a game for you. But there's also games like Darkest Dungeon and games like Monster Train. There's so many different titles out there in this specific genre now. It's really crazy to look at it in the last couple of years and just see how it has exploded and really how many classic titles are within it. It feels a bit like when I was growing up and there were 3D fighters that started up, and then pretty soon there were just a great deal of 3D fighters that were phenomenal, and you were almost in analysis paralysis, whether it be a Soul Blade, a Virtual Fighter, Toshinden, Last Bronx. All right, let's not talk about Last Bronx. That's not one, but you get my drift. There were just all of these titles, and we're seeing this with almost every single specific kind of game that people want to play. It's a very cool time to be in gaming and to be able to engage with all this and engage with you guys and talk about it. There's some fantastic titles out there. I got some secrets coming up when it comes to some reviews that I'm excited for this year too. Some titles that haven't even been announced are actually coming up for review within the next couple of months, and I'm just waiting to see how that fanfare plays out. Anyway, that's it for me. Peace out and enjoy the rest of your week.